Hello, hello. Welcome back. And so we are now on the second week of the second revelation. So if you're watching this video, you've already read the second revelation commentary, and you have answered the second revelation journal questions. If you have not done that, hit the road, Jack. So go back, do that. We don't skip steps in this program. Do all that you need to do, and then rejoin us here at this second installment of the second revelation. So, like I said, if you should have already done those things, you should have answered the second revelation journal questions. And that means you, or I hope that those questions helped you identify the thing in your life that you are now prepared to make a commitment to. Did it? What's your commitment going to be? Okay, make sure you tell me in the Live More, Carry Less private Facebook group, because I want to hear what you have decided to make a commitment to. That said, that's what we're going to talk about today. Smart commitments, because that's everything. That's very important. Smart commitments are realistic goals and parameters. And when I say that, I'm not talking about your dreams and your goals. By all means, dream big. Set big goals for yourself. And I believe in dreaming big. But I am talking about the method. When I say smart commitments, I'm talking about the method by which you reach your goals. Okay, so the primary reason people don't meet the goals is the commitment path they set out to reach them is unrealistic. There needs to be a healthy balance when it comes to sacrifice and the changes, unless there's an extraordinary situation. By extraordinary, I mean, say you have a life-threatening illness and you need to make a drastic change in your life, then by all means make a drastic change to save your life. But many of us who are not facing an extreme situation, if we make a drastic change, immediate change, it's something we're not going to stick to. So what we're trying to do here in the second revelation about our commitments is redefine a lifestyle, creating a new lifestyle of keeping our commitments. And the only way to do that is by doing things in balance. Okay, I know we get excited and we have these ideas and we're like, I'm gonna hit the ground running and I'm such and such. Don't hit the ground running. Hit the ground walking fast or jogging. Okay, so we can do the marathon, and so we can actually meet these goals that we want to make instead of years later. And I'm telling you, I still haven't learned Spanish yet, because the methodology I needed to change when I was in my car driving that worked, but I didn't have that job anymore. I wasn't on that study anymore. So I needed to find a new methodology and a new thing that worked for me so I can continue to meet that goal, continue to keep that commitment. I didn't know that now, but I didn't know that then, but I know that now. So that's why I've kept a slew of other commitments in my life. And that's why I'm revisiting my commitment to learning another language, because I know now what I need to do to keep that commitment. Anyway, so like I said, there needs to be a healthy balance when it comes to sacrifice and the change you need to make so that you can keep that. So a good way to say that is bite-sized chunks versus big, okay? Bite-sized chunks, and then we get there one day at a time, one bit at a time. So I want you to take fitness and nutrition. And this is what I discovered about myself after menopause. And I know you guys are saying, really? Another menopause story? Yes, another story, because it's really affected my life. So I'll say a change as my hormones changed and my body changed. So I was always somebody who could pretty much eat anything I wanted because I was always athletic. I was a dancer and I studied gymnastics. And so even in my adult life, I always worked out and did things. But when your body changes, your hormones change, the way you metabolize fat changes. So your body is doing a whole new different thing. So I literally went to sleep and woke up 35 pounds bigger. That's how it felt. Okay, you're like, that doesn't happen. And maybe it doesn't, but it felt that way. It literally came on that quickly. It's like there was water flowing and then overnight somebody erects a dam and all that stuff builds up. And it really happened in terms of, for me, for my weight. So I tried many different things and none of them work. What I was committed to was finding a healthy balance so I can maintain or get to the weight that made me feel good about myself. So I tried, you name it, I tried it. And I actually did a monologue where I described what it's like to try to lose weight during menopause. And I said, it's like trying to empty the ocean with a spoon. And literally, you younger women, you're not there yet. Yay for you. One day it's coming. Remember I said this. Remember Auntie Erin told you about this before it came. But and not everybody's body is the same. Some women go into it differently, but as you age, it is different trying to lose weight. So I had to find something that worked for me that I could do over long periods. It couldn't be starvation because I couldn't do a liquid diet. What am I going to do that for the rest of my life and never eat food? That's not going to work. So it couldn't be something that, for me, my personality, I had to find out, who am I? I know who I am, what works for me. I'm not somebody who can calorie count. I don't want to spend that kind of time thinking about food that way. I don't. So that was never going to work for me. That was a recipe for failure for me if I was going to try to do some fat diet, because it was only going to last a moment. I wanted a lifestyle change. What can I do for the rest of my life that works for me? I couldn't do calorie counting because I just don't like it. That's not me. I wasn't going to commit to that. Or if I did commit it, I wasn't going to keep that commitment. So I had to find what worked for me, and that turned out to be paleo. But like I said, commitments always involve a sacrifice. What did I have to sacrifice with paleo? I had to sacrifice bread, which hurt like the dickens. Trust me. I love gluten. So when you say I'm gluten-free, it means I'm not eating things made from wheat flour. So that means bread, pasta, basically all the things that make life worth living. I'm kidding, but in a way I'm not. So I had to sacrifice bread. That's hard, but I could do it. I could live with it. I also had to sacrifice processed food. Also a challenge, but I could live with it because I inherently wanted to eat better. I didn't want to keep buying food that you heat up in the microwave that was pre-cooked and not fresh. So I sacrificed processed food. What else did I have to sacrifice? Sugar. I love sweets. When I was younger, I always kept something around. People used to tease me when we'd be in church. They'd be like, tap Erin and tell her to give me some candy from her purse. I was that. So I would have actually grown up to be one of those grandmothers who always had a peppermint for somebody. So I had to sacrifice sweets and candy. Luckily, with getting older, my taste buds changed. So I didn't really like candy as much as I used to, but I still loved pastries, cakes, cookies. Had to sacrifice sugar. Had to sacrifice dairy. I had to sacrifice that a long time ago. Most African Americans are lactose intolerant. Found that out when I was younger. But nowadays it's awesome because I can get ice cream that's made from oat milk or almond milk. So I had to sacrifice dairy. So it was gluten, sugar, processed foods, dairy. So that was for me in paleo. What I wasn't willing to sacrifice is meat, because I'm a meat eater and I love meat. I try to eat less of it, but I knew that if I tried to do a diet, if somebody said be a vegetarian, now if it was extreme and I had to for a health reason, I understand that I could, adapt a vegan lifestyle or a raw vegan lifestyle. I would be very upset about it, but I would do the work and do all I needed to do to get my body healthy. But that wasn't the case. I wanted to be healthier, and I wanted to be a certain size that fit my frame, that made me feel good about Erin, myself. I don't usually like when people talk in third person, so forgive me. I wanted to be a certain weight that made me feel good about me. So I decided that paleo, after I did the research, that paleo was the best thing for me. So with that said, you have to decide what the best thing is for you. You have to make reasonable goals for yourself. Don't start it, like say if it's a diet, don't start a diet that you know you can't keep. Don't start a lifestyle change that you know you can't keep. At the end of the day, you have to find a balance that you can make a pledge to. So let's take working out. Okay, so I know that I cannot pledge to work out 2 hours a day. That's just not reasonable for me. So I pledged in my life to work out 4 to 6 times per week. For me, that's reasonable. For you, that may not be reasonable. You may be like, that's crazy, I can't do that. So maybe for you, you say, well, I can work out 2 to 3 times a week. Just find what your balance is. Your balance has to involve a sacrifice, because you're not going to get to your goal if you don't make a sacrifice. It is a sacrifice for me to sacrifice the time to work out 4 to 6 times a week. It's usually not 6 on very rare occasions, mostly 4. I just make it sometimes 5. But it still involves a sacrifice because there are other things I could be doing. But after I do it, I'm always glad I did. Now, what you have to do is assess your schedule. What can you do? Some days I run, which is a 90-minute run. Other days I can only do a 20-minute workout. I had to find a workout that fit my schedule, because sometimes my schedule is so big or so busy, I can't give an hour and a half to it. So I have to have something that I can get done in 20 minutes. So I literally went online, started searching through Amazon or whatever, and found DVDs that had great workouts that could be done in 20 minutes. So I could get it in 20 minutes, feel good about myself, and be done with it. And they do have those. And yes, I am still one of those people who do things on DVD players. So you have to find out what works for you. Know yourself enough to say, okay, or know yourself, what you can do and what you can't do. Like I said, I'm not doing a diet where I can't eat meat. Just not me. I'm not going to do that. But I will do a diet where I give up bread and sugar. And let me go back to that for a second. I do not give up bread and sugar all the time. Like, say there is a party or a wedding or something that I'm gathering with friends and there's cake there, I eat the cake. Or if it's Thanksgiving, I'm going to have the pie and the whatever. Or if I'm going out to a happy hour with friends, I'm going to have a drink and I'm going to get the sliders and the whatever with friends. I don't do that all the time. That's not my everyday life. So in my life, what I chose that works for me, that makes me feel good about myself and can keep me on track, is on my regular day-to-day, I am paleo. If an event comes up where I'm in a celebration with friends or there's a party and I want to have a piece of cake, I have a piece of cake, because I feel like allowing myself to have those moments where I have cake or have, whatever, cookies or a drink with a friend or whatever, that's the spice of life. And I'm not going to cut that out. So I am paleo 85 to 90% of my life. And then there are the other 10% where I'm out with friends and I'm out enjoying life. I allow myself to have some cake. I allow myself to have a slider. I allow myself to have pasta or whatever those things are that I enjoy. Then when that day is over, when that event is over and that time is over, the next day when I wake up, I go back to my paleo lifestyle where I do not eat those things. I do not purchase them. So you cannot find them in my home because I don't want them around, because then I will be tempted to eat them. But if I'm out, like I said, and I'm at a party or a gathering with friends, I allow myself to have them. Some of you can't do that. I have a girlfriend. I think she's in the group. Her name is Cynthia, and she can do a cheat day once a week. I can't do that. I can't cheat once a week because it throws me off. I can cheat at an event every once in a while with friends. I cannot do it weekly. It's too much for me to try to get back on track. I can go out with you tomorrow and, like I said, have a piece of cake and then be in my life for 2-3 weeks where I don't have a piece of cake, and then something comes up where I have some pizza with friends. I can do that and then go back to my life. I can't do the pizza every week. I can't do that. I can only have it on the side, but that's me. That's my discipline. That's what I know that works for me. You have to find out what works for you. I'm looking at the time because you know how we do with the videos here. I'm going to come out and come back in.